Hello NBA enthusiasts, and welcome to an analysis of the 2018-2019 NBA Eastern Conference Finals. These playoffs have been great to watch, but the conference finals were even better than expected. On the East Coast, we got to watch a battle of superstars go down to the wire with the more experienced and battle-ready squad coming out on top. Overall, this in-depth analysis of the Eastern Conference Finals will cover the play of both teams, including what went well for them and what went wrong for them. Enjoy! What a series! The playoff matchup between the Milwaukee Bucks and Toronto Raptors will be one of the most significant events of the 2019 playoffs. The Bucks, the statistically best team in the NBA, lost to the Toronto Raptors in 6 games. The Bucks won the first 2 games of the series, but the way Toronto clawed back and won the next 4 games in a row was an example of greatness. First, let's talk about how the Bucks were on track to win the series and how they lost it. The Bucks that played in games 1 and 2 looked like a completely different team than the Bucks that showed up for the rest of the series. After what looked like a possible sweep, the Bucks underwent a total collapse that shocked the world. They went from being the best team in the world to, at best, a mediocre team. It completely baffled me when I watched it live, but after looking back at the series, I have discovered what caused the collapse from the initial greatness they had. First, let's talk about what went well for the Bucks. I would say the greatest outcome of the series for Milwaukee was the realization that the team they have created has the potential for greatness. Yes, even though they lost this series, they were just 2 games away from a finals appearance. The way that role players like Ersan Ilyasova, Pat Connaughton, and especially George Hill stepped up when guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton couldn't lead the team should help the Bucks front office with some free agency decisions. George Hill had multiple-digit scoring games. Brook Lopez had the game of his life in the first game of the series, and Ersan Ilyasova's scoring and rebounding abilities were on full display throughout the series. I'll be going into why the Bucks lost this series, but I can tell you right now that it wasn't because of the lack of talent on the floor for the Bucks. In my opinion, they should realize that they have a group of players that can truly compete for a championship, and they should try their best to hold this very team together for one more chance next season. Yeah, there's a lot of things that didn't go right for the Bucks. Let's start with one of the major reasons of their losses, their lack of adaptability. Coach Mike Budenholzer has been using a simple formula on both offense and defense for the whole regular season and the playoffs coming up to this series. Give Giannis Antetokounmpo the ball and surround him with shooters on offense. Let the opponent shoot threes on defense. Both formulas came crashing down after the Raptors cracked the code. They worked well in games 1 and 2, but after the Raptors generated a game plan designed to stop Giannis, the otherwise brilliant Budenholzer was dumbfounded and he couldn't generate a game plan to stop the Raptors. The Raptors' game plan for the Bucks was another key reason of their loss. After Giannis obliterated the Raptors in games 1 and 2, the Raptors took a page out of the Celtics playbook and began to create the wall. As Giannis would drive in, the defense would come together in front of the three-point line and stop him from getting to the basket. Giannis countered this by passing out to now open teammates, but he lost confidence in them as they started to miss wide open looks. That prompted Giannis to ball hog and force shots, which was unlike the Giannis we saw throughout the regular season, and that was the downfall of the Bucks offense. Another negative for the Bucks was the disappearance of Eric Bledsoe. Bledsoe was acquired last season by the Bucks to be their 3rd star, but he is never able to play that role in the playoffs, especially in crucial moments, such as this series. Bledsoe averaged a mere 10 points on 29% shooting. 29%! That would be the playoff shooting percentage of a 20-year-old player who is playing his first season in the NBA, not a seasoned veteran on a championship contender. Bledsoe could never be relied on, which again ruined the offense for the Bucks and made life easy for the Raptors. Lastly, the biggest reason of the Bucks' defeat was their lack of consistency and effort. After Game 2, it never felt like the Bucks were playing with that killer instinct and intensity a championship team has. Whenever they had the lead, they would blow it. Whenever the pace of the game increased, the Bucks' productivity decreased. I have no idea how it happened, but after Game 2, it felt like the Bucks didn't care what was going on in the game, and they were just there for the heck of it. And with that, my friends, let's move on to the victors of the series, the Toronto Raptors. If we disregard the play of the Raptors in games 1 and 2, we could easily say that the Raptors are the most balanced and skilled team in this league. The way they played team basketball on the offensive end and stifling defense on the defensive end, it was just unmatchable by the Bucks. On the back of Kawhi Leonard and his consistent greatness, the Raptors stepped up when it mattered the most and stole the series from the Bucks and are now in their first ever NBA Finals. Let's go over the multiple reasons of the Raptors' victory, starting with their biggest factor, effort. The Raptors never gave up. Whether they were down 15 or up 15, they played with the same energy and same hunger, which eventually helped them win the series. Effort is a big factor in basketball, and unlike the Bucks, the Raptors always played at 100% effort. Next, Kawhi Leonard was another huge factor in this series. Whatever Nick Nurse and the Raptors needed from Kawhi, he delivered. Whether it be completely locking down Giannis Antetokounmpo in the last 4 games while playing with an injured leg, or averaging 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists throughout the series, Kawhi Leonard did it. The Raptors finally gave him the opportunity to showcase his leadership and star player abilities, and Leonard excelled at it. In my opinion, if any other player had taken the spot of Kawhi Leonard in this series, the Bucks would be in the NBA Finals. His impact was just too valuable. Another key for the Raptors' victory was the genius of Coach Nick Nurse. He always just made the right decisions, whether it be helping his team adapt to a new style of play to win or continuing to motivate them after their lows. Nick Nurse did a wonderful job coaching this team to victory. The last positive on a long list of them for the Raptors was the support Kawhi Leonard finally received. In the second round series against the 76ers, it felt like it was Kawhi Leonard against everyone else. In this series, Kawhi Leonard was supported by the great play of Kyle Lowry, Marc Gasol, Norman Powell, and Fred VanVleet. If Kawhi needed help on defense, he found it. If he needed a guy to look to after being double-teamed, he found one. Throughout this series, players other than those named Kawhi Leonard played well, which eventually pushed the Raptors past the Bucks and into the finals. If I had to point out one negative of this series for the Raptors, it would be Danny Green. One of the best three-point shooters in the league, couldn't hit a three for his life. Of the 23 three-pointers he shot, he only made 4. That's 17% of threes made by a guy who is shooting a superb 40% from 3 for his career. He played well on defense, but Danny Green will need to step up in the finals and make the shots he has made his whole life if the Raptors want to win. And with that, we wrap up the analysis of the Eastern Conference Finals. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at one particular series. The next episode will have some major changes. You'll be trying out a face cam for the first time. I'll be going over the NBA Finals once they concluded, so I hope you're interested to hear my thoughts on them. I'll catch you soon on the NBA, the week that was. See ya!